Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. Hope everybody is feeling good. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation that happened a few years back. And this story, y'all have to stay to the end. Stay to the end of this video because it is so fascinating, miraculous what happened. A lot of people that have these thoughts of what would happen if this happened, whatever does happen. So make sure you stay to the end of this video. Before we get into it though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things way more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There is a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section, what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and I'm also on Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to a lot of things that I love, that I use, or that y'all ask about. Like this top is linked over there. This necklace that says Mama, I love this necklace. It would make a great gift. It's super affordable. It's not real gold. It's linked over there. Hair care products, makeup items, things that I buy for my husband, or workout gear, just about anything that I can think of or that I want to link over there, I do. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. So, okay, let's talk about Mary. So Mary Vincent was born in 1963 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mary's father, Herb, was in the military, but he also worked as a casino machine mechanic. Mary's mother, Lucy, was a blackjack dealer in the same casino. So she grew up around these casinos. And Mary also had 6 other siblings. Now, by 1978, 15-year-old Mary was living a fast and loose life. She was skipping classes. She was hanging out with sketchy people. She had all kinds of friends that people may have said was the wrong crowd. She was definitely wearing lots of makeup, in which, according to her parents, was just not acceptable. Now, Las Vegas, back in the 60s and 70s, which, mind you, let's just say 60s and 70s and period, end of story, you get the vibe. But Las Vegas back in the 60s and 70s was just as wild as you can imagine. Now, like it is now, it was known for its entertainment and hotels. In the 50s and the 60s, Las Vegas had a period of this rapid growth and expansion, and it was becoming the city that we all know today. The population back then was growing, and the number of hotels and casinos was increasing. They were just like popping up all over the place. The Las Vegas Strip was actually beginning to take shape or form, and this is what attracted visitors from all around the world. There were all kinds of like headlining entertainers back then, like Elvis Presley was performing in Las Vegas back then. So you can only imagine the types of people that came from all over to see Elvis Presley, as well as Wayne Newton, the Rat Pack, which was Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Peter Lawford and Joey Bishop. They were a major force in the Las Vegas entertainment back in the 60s, and they were known for their like swagger, antics, and camaraderie. Their performance at the Sands Hotel and Casino drew these big, huge crowds. The average hotel room rate back then was just $30, and there were not as many hotels and casinos, and it certainly wasn't as crowded as it is today. But the nightlife was just as fun and definitely getting up and going. People love spending their time and their money there. So as you can imagine, I'm sure like raising a family there might not have been the easiest task, especially for Mary's parents, who had 7 children. And to top it all off, Mary's parents were quite strict, and they were very frustrated with Mary's behavior. So then Mary's parents, with everything combined, started going through a very messy divorce. And it is said that the stress of what their daughter Mary was putting them through definitely did not help. So during the summer of 1978, Mary decided that she was just going to run away. Like, I'm done. I'm going to run away. She went to California where she lived with her boyfriend in his car. But when he ended up getting arrested for allegedly taking advantage of a high school girl, and my guess is he did it, seeing that Mary was the age that she was, Mary decided that she was going to leave him. Mary then briefly lived with an uncle in California, but she ultimately wanted to make her way to her grandfather, who was 400 miles away in Corona, California. So on September 29th of 1978, Mary started walking. Now, for those of y'all that know, you know, and for those of y'all that don't know, hitchhiking was a common thing. It was not considered to be super unsafe, and people hitchhiked everywhere. And when Mary began to walk and she started to get tired, she decided she was just going to stick her thumb out in hopes that someone would pick her up. This is when 50-year-old Lawrence Singleton pulled over and offered Mary a ride. Now, just by looking at Lawrence, Mary thought that he was like this sweet older man and she could probably just trust him. Now, as the two of them were riding together, Lawrence told Mary that he would take her wherever she wanted to go, but that he needed to stop by his house first to pick up some laundry. Mary said, sure, that's fine. And she actually said, hey, I'll help you carry the laundry out into the van. Thank you so much for giving me a ride. Lawrence had even seemed to care about Mary's well-being. I mean, she started to sneeze at one point, and so Lawrence put his hand on her neck to see if she had a fever. You know, like to her, she's thinking like, I'm riding with this grandpa. And so he puts his hand over on her neck and she's like, oh, like he's so sweet. However, Lawrence was not the sweet older man that she thought he was, and he definitely did not care about Mary's well-being. Lawrence was born in 1927 in Tampa, Florida, and he was actually a merchant seaman who spent a lot of time on the ocean. Now, reports say that when he was sober, he was an okay guy. However, when Lawrence had been drinking, he was very, very mean. He had actually been married and divorced twice at this point, and Lawrence and his second wife, Mary, her name was Mary too, had actually remained friends after the divorce. She said that Lawrence fought a lot with his own teenage daughter, Deborah, who had actually been getting in trouble herself, a lot like Mary Vincent had. Lawrence tried his best to discipline her, but it always ended in an argument, which seems very typical for a father and a teenage daughter, especially one that may be rebelling at this point. Nevertheless, some say that Lawrence had a deeply ingrained hatred and dislike for women. Things took a scary turn for Mary when she fell asleep while they were riding together, and when she woke up, she realized that they were going in the completely wrong direction. When Mary woke up and realized they were going in the wrong direction, this is when she got scared and she pulled out a pointy stick and she pointed it at Lawrence. She told him that he better turn around right now. Now, Lawrence responded by saying, listen, I'm just an honest old man who made an honest mistake and I'm not going to hurt you. Surprisingly, he did pull over and turned around. But then, as the sun was going down, Lawrence pulled off of the highway onto a dirt road in this like canyon area. He told Mary that he had to use the bathroom. They both ended up getting out of the vehicle. Lawrence relieved himself, and as Mary got out to stretch her legs and to tie her shoes, as she was doing so, this is when she felt this hard blow to the back of her head. Lawrence was actually hitting her. He then picked Mary up and he drug her back into the van. He threw her into the back of it and he said, do not scream or I will end you. Lawrence then went and he tied her up and he took advantage of her. And then he got back into the front seat and started driving even further down this dirt road. When he stopped again, he got out and he came to the back of the van and he untied Mary. He told her that he would set her free if she just obeyed him. Lawrence then gave Mary a cup of liquor and said, drink it or I will end you. So Mary did. She drank it. She felt instantly sick at this point. Lawrence then proceeded to take advantage of Mary again. And in this process, Mary just like completely passed out. When she came to, Lawrence told her to get out of the van and lay down on the side of the road. As Mary was laying there, absolutely terrified after everything she had already been through, she heard Lawrence go to the back of the van and he began to like rummage through the stuff that he had there. He was definitely looking for something. When he came back, Lawrence had a hatchet. he screamed, "You want to be free? Oh, I'll set you free," just before he swung this hatchet and he cut off Mary's left arm. Then he swung it again and severed her right arm. Right at the forearm, he said, "Okay, now you're free." Right before he literally pushed Mary down this very steep embankment, then he went and stuffed her into this concrete pipe. This is when Lawrence went back up the embankment, got back into his van, and took off, leaving Mary there to die.
He then took my right arm, and I started kicking and screaming, hoping someone would hear me. And I'm just kicking nonstop. And he started to chop my right arm off. But because I'm still kicking and screaming, it took longer. So he had to keep chopping away at my arm. And I couldn't figure out why until I looked at the end of his arm. My hand was still clutched onto him. The burning, and when my blood was leaking out of my body, I felt the hot.
Miraculously, Mary survived the fall and actually managed to climb back up this cliff at her age, after everything she had been through, after the cup of liquor, and despite the injuries that she had. This young lady, Mary, was so smart, and I feel like smart is intelligent, like street smart, wise. I don't know. To see a mud puddle, and she dipped what was left of her arms into the mud to stop it from continuously leaking the red fluid that was coming from it. And then she held what was left up as high as she could so it wouldn't drain down, it would drain up. I mean, incredible. When she got back up to the highway, which was actually 3 miles from where she was dumped. Because remember, he pulled off the side of the road, driving down this road saying that he was going to go to the bathroom, and then ended up going further again. And then she went down the embankment into the pipe. She made it all the way back to the highway. And this is when she started to try to flag down cars. Well, one did pull over to help. However, when they saw her condition, Mary says that they must have been too scared, because when they got a good look at her, they immediately just sped off, which I cannot imagine. That had to just imagine. Like they're like, screw, no way. It probably looked like a scary movie.
And I screamed to stop, to help me. And I was thinking, gosh, I must look a mess. They're gonna get scared, and they did get scared, and they drove off. I told myself, maybe if I'm nicer and I ask please to help, maybe the next people will help me.
Fortunately, however, the second car that actually came down and stopped and pulled over rushed Mary to the hospital. Now, in the hospital, Mary was very willing to help the police as much as she could. And before she would even allow herself to fall asleep, she made sure that the forensic artist had the best sketch of Lawrence as possible. Mary then ended up having a very intense surgery. Now, after she recovered, she ended up being fitted with prosthetic arms. Mary then spent many years in physical and mental therapy. This incident had obviously taken a very heavy toll on her. Now, because of Mary's bravery and her being able to give this forensic artist this sketch, Lawrence was quickly identified by the police and he ended up being arrested. Now, he was referred to as the Mad Chopper. Lawrence told the police that Mary was a hard-bitten runaway who smoked reefers and threatened to maim him and accuse him of the R word. And she was going to do all this if he refused to drive her where she needed to go. Now, at his trial, Mary testified against Lawrence. And as she left the stand, Lawrence allegedly whispered, "I'll finish this job if it takes me the rest of my life." Yeah. Ultimately, Lawrence was found guilty of all of the charges that they charged him with, and they charged him with attempted, you know what, the R word, all that stuff. However, he only got sentenced to 14 years in prison. It was the maximum sentence allowed in California at the time. The judge even said in open court that if he had the power, that he would send him to prison for the rest of his natural life, which would probably have been pretty fair, right? But even worse, Lawrence ended up being granted parole after only serving 8 years. His sentence was reduced for good behavior and for working as a teacher's assistant while he was in prison. Mary was, as you can imagine, absolutely afraid that she would be looking over her shoulder for the rest of her life. But even after Lawrence was paroled, everyone in the area knew exactly who he was, and no town would allow him to come there and settle down. The authorities tried helping Lawrence actually find a place to live, but there were literally protests in every town that he tried to go to, and local businesses even got involved. One car dealership offered Lawrence $5,000 to leave the state and to never return. The tensions peaked when a homemade went off near Lawrence's home. No one ended up being hurt, but a decision had to be made. Authorities decided that it would be best if Lawrence moved in a trailer on the prison grounds until his parole ended a year later. And so that's exactly what he did. In the meanwhile, Mary won a civil settlement against Lawrence for $2.56 million. However, she never got any of that money because Lawrence he just didn't have it. Lawrence was unemployed, he was in poor health, and he only had $200 to his name. Now, Lawrence even threatened to sue Mary at one point because he truly believed that he was the victim in this incident. And then after Lawrence's parole was over, he moved to Sulphur Springs, Florida, where he could continue to get in trouble with the law. Now, mind you, when he picked her up, he was 50, okay? Then he got this sentence. We're talking a 60-year-old man. Shout out to my 60-year-old men out there. I know y'all still got it, but we're talking about this man is still out there causing a straight problem. Back in 1990, he was convicted of theft twice, and he served a 60-day sentence for stealing a $10 disposable camera in the spring, and then in the winter, he received a 2-year prison sentence for stealing a $3 hat. Then, in the spring of 1997, a painter working at a neighbor's house called 911 to report that Lawrence was jumping on another woman inside his home. He said that he could literally see through the window that Lawrence was attacking this woman. When the police responded, they found the deceased body of a 31-year-old woman named Roxanne Hayes. She had been stabbed multiple times, and she was the mother of 3 children herself. Lawrence was arrested and charged with murder. Again, Lawrence claimed that Roxanne tried to steal money out of his wallet, and as they wrestled for it, Lawrence said that Roxanne is the one that picked up a knife, and she ended up doing this to herself in the midst of the struggle. But the painter saw it all happen and said that Roxanne did not even appear to fight back. Now, Mary came all the way from California to Florida to testify against Lawrence. Lawrence was found guilty, and this time the judge sentenced him to the DP. Now, before that sentence could be carried out, after only spending 3 years in prison, Lawrence passed away in 2001 from cancer at a hospital at the North Florida Reception Center in Stark, Florida. Mary, at this point, could finally breathe and live her life unafraid that Lawrence would come fulfill his promise to her. Life was not exactly peaceful for Mary after that either, though. Her parents, Herb and Lucy, said that she ended up going back to this street life and getting into more trouble herself. She was sent to a school for the handicapped, and she started seeing a psychiatrist. Allegedly, talking about the incident with the psychiatrist brought up all these unpleasant memories that made Mary just absolutely want to give up. Then after graduating high school, Mary stayed in Las Vegas, but she struggled to find any kind of purpose in life. As she got older, Mary continued to struggle. She did end up getting married, and then she ended up getting divorced. She was completely distraught and fearful. She kept very quiet, and she lived a secluded life. She had intense nightmares, and she was haunted by this situation over and over and over again. Mary said that she would never get over it and that Lawrence destroyed everything about her. He destroyed her way of thinking, her way of life, her innocence.
I wake up, I'm haunted when I'm sleeping. It won't leave. I can't escape it. I wake up to it every day. Just waking up to no hands. He took away my life. I mean, this isn't living, this is existing.
She did end up having 2 children that she absolutely adored, and she eventually started the Mary Vincent Foundation to help other survivors. Eventually, after a long road of, we'll say ups and downs, but a lot of downs, Mary found a love for art, and it definitely helped her cope. It all started because she could not afford expensive prosthetics, so she created her own with parts from like different refrigerators and stereo systems. She taught herself how to draw, and she taught herself how to paint using her self-invented prosthetics. Because of the outrage caused by Lawrence's crimes and his very short sentence, California actually ended up passing some laws that allowed for longer prison sentences for people convicted of these types of crimes, including one law that made with the intent of committing SA punishable by life in prison. It's a good thing they did it, but at that point for Mary, it was a little too late. Have y'all heard about this? Absolutely mind-blowing. Now, when I was researching, I found a source that said when Lawrence pulled up to her, there was actually other hitchhikers there, and that Lawrence said only one could go. And the other hitchhikers, allegedly, I only saw this in one source now, but allegedly the other hitchhiker said, you should not go. There's plenty of room in that van and he will only take you. And that she looked at him like a grandpa. She was on the way to visit her grandpa and she thought that it would be okay. And it definitely wasn't. Whether that part actually happened or not, I mean, I just cannot imagine her replaying it in her mind, right? Replaying it. I shouldn't have done this. And what if I would have never left home? What if I would have listened to my parents? What if I would have just listened to my mom and dad, stayed in school and Ugh. Oh my gosh. But the fact that she made it up that embankment into the road and stuck her arms into the mud, a miracle, miraculous. Have y'all heard about this? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for watching this video. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend and I'll see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.